Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not. Still, we should run like it is Godzilla! Though it isn't.
Welcome back to an End Cut movie review. Today we have Godzilla -1. Finally, cinema is back. It's not dead. Hollywood is gone. I'm all for Japan cinema. Let's jump into this review.
The plot of this film follows your generic Godzilla movie, except with a little bit of a twist in this one. It feels like a genuine actual movie. It's a step aside from the usual Hollywood crap that we've been sort of reviewing. Every 1 in 5 or 6 movies that we've reviewed so far has been somewhat decent, but this movie was a step away from that, and it felt like a genuine film, and it also felt like a bit of a callback and a throwback to the original Godzilla films in the way that Godzilla was the enemy in this film this time, not the anti-hero, and he was actually bloody scary and menacing, and the first time we see him is a baby sort of Godzilla, but later on in the film, he comes back as the full-blown, grown Godzilla that we're used to seeing, and he's looking very menacing. For a movie that was only about $15 million budget, I think they blew it out of the water with how good he was, pun intended. But there's a few scenes where he's sort of crocodiling it in the water, where he's doing his Godzilla swim, and we just see like the eyes and a bit of the nose poking out of the water, and he looks terrifying, almost like Jaws-like, and it's a really good adaptation because in the last few iterations of Godzilla, I mean, he's a good guy, which is, I get it, like it works, but it's also good to see that he's gone back to his menacing old ways. But also interwoven into this plot was a really good love story between a main character who is trying to find his honor again. He was a kamikaze pilot, the main character in this film, and what we find out is that in World War II, if you're a kamikaze pilot and you came back alive, you were essentially dishonored throughout the whole community, throughout your whole life. Like, your job was to go out there and kamikaze. That was it. And the character and one of the main plot lines is that he didn't do that. For the rest of the film, he's a recluse, and a lady comes in with a child, and it's an intricate and interesting love story between them that gets you involved, especially because of how strong the acting is and how the emotions are conveyed both through the dialogue and through the acting itself. Like, if you're familiar with Korean films, Japanese films, they take that emotion acting to the next level. They're not afraid to be screaming. They're not afraid to convey that emotion in the right, proper way. Like, I feel like in Western films, we sort of lose touch with that because it feels fake. It doesn't feel genuine. I mean, all you need to look at is Brie Larson brooding to know that it's not genuine. And in this film, it really hits on that.
Throughout this film, I noticed a lot of Godzilla horror coming back to the screen. Compared to this Hollywood stuff that we've seen, this was a lot slower, a lot more condensed. You didn't really have Godzilla on screen all the time. So I really enjoyed this Japanese film compared to this Hollywood stuff that we've been watching for a while. A thing I loved about this for Godzilla was the charge-up beam that he had, that absolute nuke blast for a charge-up. Now, it wasn't pink. I was watching these trailers and it was pink for some reason. So this guy is not, don't get clickbaited by that. It is a massive charge up, and he absolutely causes some destructions. And the only couple things I didn't like about Godzilla, now I know it's still a shout out to the original, and it is what it is, but the man walked like a robot. The Godzilla walked like a robot. He's had his hand next to him, which is completely reptilian, 100% like prehistoric, proper prehistoric, which just looked a little weird consistently seeing that, but it is what it is.
The soundtrack for this film was really good. It had the original theme from Godzilla, the music that we all know. The good thing that this movie did was not having Godzilla on the screen a lot was that when you heard that theme coming in, you knew that shit was about to get real. And it had the same sort of effect like I referred to earlier with Jaws, where as soon as that theme came in, you knew it was about to go down. Like, often with these sort of films, Godzilla especially, the best time when Godzilla is there is not on the screen, because it builds up the suspense of when you finally do get to see Godzilla and see him going crazy. Like, for instance, in the very first Godzilla film, in the remakes that have come out in the last 10 years, we see a scene where the soldiers shoot flares up in the sky and you just see an outline of Godzilla. Like, that is what makes these films so intense, so that makes you on the edge of your seat. Not seeing him every single scene, fighting like he's goddamn, in a game where he's punching on with all these different animals. And that's what this film really did well. There's almost like an hour and a half of this movie where you don't even see Godzilla, but that builds up the suspense of when he finally does come and goes crazy. It makes it all worth it, and the payoff's there. And in this film, he's also like unbeatable, which is really good. He's not nerfed in any way whatsoever. He's essentially doing what Godzilla does, which is just destroying everything.
Yeah, and I think that going back to what I said in the last review about original cinema or the golden age of cinema, this is what I was referring to in this type of stature. The fact that they had the suspense and the horror build up from not seeing Godzilla off screen, but it's people talking about him as like a myth. This is what kind of builds that energy towards the horror aspect or the anticipation aspect. Like with Jaws, it's the same thing. It's based purely on the music, and the whole reason why you're scared of this is because you don't see them. This Godzilla was 100% just a shout back to the original. Like it was full identical, scene for scene, identical, the same. And I'm not used to seeing that, especially because this is a Japanese film and it's completely in Japanese and it's dubbed in. It's not dubbed, it's subtitled in English. So seeing that for me for the first time also took me back and actually had to make me I was invested into this film because I was reading everything that was going on, also watching things. So it kind of put me and entroped me into the movie a lot more.
The acting of this film deserves a shout out. All the actors in this movie, from the main cast to also to all the extras all the way down to the bottom, were outstanding. But a special shout out to the actress who played Akiko. Like, her acting skills were off the charts, and her ability to cry like on cue like that, wow, she could teach a lot of Hollywood actresses and actors a thing or two in Hollywood.
A rating for this film, I'm going to give high regards to this and above 90. It's going to be, honestly, 92%. It was such a good movie to go through. Like, if I'm going to reiterate everything I've said, other than that, I recommend you guys go watch it. It is just something to behold. It's such a good movie.
My rating for this film would be along the lines of that as well, 80 to an 85, 90%. I think just because this film felt genuine, it was a nice change up from the usual Hollywood sort of melodrama, I guess, that we're seeing lately, where it's big budgets, where they're not really caring about the plot line or the story or anything like that. They're just CGIing and pushing as much budget and big names on the screen as they can, and they think that's what's going to get people to watch. It's good to, watch a film that doesn't have big names in it, because then certain actors and actresses that you see their name on the poster, you're looking for their traits and you know what you're going to get when you see these movies. The soundtrack was killer, and Godzilla himself was menacing, very fierce looking, a really good take on his look. I really liked it for a $15 million budget. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this film.
Anyway guys, it's been another N-Cut movie review. Don't forget to drop the like and the sub. Probably no one's watching till here because it's only 2 minutes of retention that we have usually. Anyway guys, don't forget to drop the like, drop the sub, join the N-Cut hive mind that we're creating. So Don't forget guys, drop it. Anyway guys, this is going to be another N-Cut movie review. Peace, we out.
Peace.
N-Cut.
Need a fucking clapperboard.
I need a fucking clapperboard. That's the next one, I'll have it, I swear.